Now enough of the theory. Let's make sure we all understand this a bit better by simply creating our first Nuxt app. And keep in mind, this will in its core be a Vue.js app, just with a different build workflow and a lot of help. The easiest way to create a Nuxt app is to use a special tool, which is like a CLI that gives you new Nuxt applications. You can simply Google for create Nuxt app, and you should find this GitHub repository to create Nuxt app. If you're coming from a React.js background, you might know create React app as a tool to give you React apps. Now this is a tool to give you Nuxt apps. And on this GitHub page which you found, you also find installation instructions. Though there is another way than the one showing here. You can simply use npm nodes package manager to get started with that. Now for that you will need Node.js though. Node.js is required for two reasons. The Node package manager, which we'll use to install create Nuxt app, and then also all dependencies in that project. But also because of Node.js itself, we also need that. Because Nuxt is a tool that starts a simple Node.js server so that it can do that pre-rendering we were talking about. And therefore we need Node.js obviously, we need it. We won't write our own Node.js code, but Nuxt requires it. So on nodejs.org, download the latest version, or if you're facing any issues with that, the long-term stability version on the left, and simply walk through the installer. Once you got that finished, you can run npm install -g create -nuxt app in the terminal or command prompt, if you're on Windows, on your machine. The folder in which you navigated there doesn't matter. On Mac and Linux, you might need to add a sudo in front of that to get the right permissions, and thereafter, you can simply hit enter, and this will install this create Nuxt app tool on your machine. And I'll be back once this is finished. Once the installation finished, you should navigate in the terminal or command prompt by using the cd command into the folder where you want to create your Nuxt project. So I did this, and then you simply execute create-nuxt-app, and then the name of the folder you want to create. In this case, I'll simply name it my first Nuxt app, but the name is of course totally up to you. Once you hit enter, you'll be asked a couple of questions. The project name is the first you have to choose, and you can simply hit enter to confirm the default, which is written in parentheses here. The same is true for the project description, and then you can choose a server-side framework. Now, you don't have to choose one here. It's just that you can easily integrate Nuxt into a server-side setup using Express, Koa, Adonis. So these are all Node.js frameworks. Now, as I mentioned earlier, at the end of the course, I will dive into that and show you how you integrate it with such a framework. For now, I just want to get a simple Node server where only Nuxt runs and where it only does one thing: give us pre-rendered Vue applications. And therefore I will choose none here. Now you can also add a UI framework, so that is a package which gives you UI components. And then you can of course look into any of these, but I will simply use none here. Now you can choose the rendering mode, because you could even say, I don't want that server-side pre-rendering stuff, just give me a normal single page app. And then you would have the benefit of the improved and easier configuration still. But I will go with a universal app here. And you can choose to pre-install Axios, which is a HTTP client, but for now I will choose no here. You can enable linting to get messages regarding your code quality, but I will also disable this here. And then enter your name. Once this is all done, this will set up a new folder with a lot of files and configuration in there for you, and it will inform you once it's done. It will also pre-install all the dependencies it requires. So let's wait for this to finish, and let's then have a look at what we got. So it finished here, and now we see the commands we should execute. We can simply navigate into the newly created folder with cd my first Nuxt app, and then run npm run dev to start the development server. This is the Node server with Nuxt on it, but in a special development mode with better debugging messages and so on. Now you can then visit this page here, this URL in your browser once it's started, and keep that process running. You should not exit it, because if you exit it, you shut down your development server. And if you then visit localhost 3000, this is what you should see, or something related to that. So basically some starting screen it starts with. Now let's open the project in an IDE to look which files we got.